Hello there. I'm sorry this is gonna be yet another vent video, but I feel like I need to get everything that's happened in these past 2 months out of my system, all the negative, and as I'm a fairly lonely person, I don't really have anyone to talk to about all of this, not as much as I would like to. So you guys will have to bear with me. So let's go back to January. All the way back to the second week of January. It was Monday. I was coming back from getting groceries and I had my shopping bag on locked near my elbow and I fell. I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have to the conditions. I was walking towards a melted patch of road and it was like this mirror ice, or do you call it black ice in English? So it was indistinguishable from a melt patch on the road. And I was super cold. It was minus 22 Celsius degrees. And I had forgotten my gloves home. So I was looking to go to the travel center building right across the sidewalk. And when I was crossing the road, I wasn't paying enough attention. I was like, yeah, it's melted. And next thing I know, I fell. And the bag full of groceries kind of tore my elbow straight into the ice. And I broke it. It was a hairline fracture, but it was fairly annoying. It has been annoying, really making things harder. I mean, I'm grateful it wasn't the full on. It wasn't any worse than it was, but it still has been very annoying. It's not. It still isn't completely healed because, it took me a couple of days to realize how bad it was, and then I went to the doctors, which kind of messed up my finances for last month and this month because, first of all, the doctor's fee, while in Finland it's not steep, as someone living skirting the line at the poverty line, even the €20 can make a dent. Plus, I had to take a cab both to and from the doctor, so it cost me total of around €70, and that's pretty rough for me. I mean, if I didn't have a smoking habit, it would have been fine, as price of smoking has doubled since I started 10 years ago. It's insane. I mean, it's like most of the people smoking in my country are of the poorer end of the wealth demographics, and it's like the political elite wants to punish the poor for being poor. I mean, it's my choice to smoke, but still, it's not an addiction you can kick that easily, especially if you still enjoy it, like I do. So that's another thing. Money is stretched really thin at the moment. Then we go forward. Well, my finances were fucked, and I had to ask help from my parents in January already, and that was that month. But also, I heard a lot of people had health, anxiety, depression issues. My sister and a lot of streamers. Some would call me friend, some an acquaintance. But anyway, a lot of people I care about have been having a rough time. Had been having a rough time in January, and things got even worse for them and me in February. Come February, I made a mistake. I made a couple of significant mistakes. One of which led me expose my Steam account to be hacked. Fortunately, Steam reacted quickly and I got it back in the same day, like 4 hours after it was stolen, and they hadn't done anything bad with it. I managed to lock it immediately after I realized it had been hacked. So nothing bad really happened, but it was the launch day of Lost Ark. So I was really stressed if I was gonna get it back in time for the launch. Now, I'm not talking the launch, I'm talking about the head start. I had been given a bronze founders pack. I participated in obscene number of giveaways and got lucky. But yeah, I managed to get in, but then I was really stressed because my arm made it harder for me to do anything. Even streaming caused me discomfort and pain. Even basic gaming, like hand on chair handle on mouse, it was still painful. And it's not anymore, but it was for the longest while. I mean, 3 weeks everything was pain, and I had to ask help with pretty much everything except showering, that I managed to pull off somehow. But having hair like this and washing it by yourself using your non-dominant arm, it takes a long time, you know. Let me tell you this, it takes a long time. Then I think about 2 weeks ago, the pain started getting easier to manage, and I started managing everything by myself. I could go get the groceries again. I was mortified because the first day I went to get groceries again, I was like, it was an exact replica of the weather when I slept. So I took like double the time I should have walking the distance, then back, because I was super careful. I really wanted to avoid fumbling again, like in January. I mean, if I slipped again, would I have broken my other elbow? My head? Would my initial fracture have got worse? And that wasn't everything. When the pain in my elbow started to subside, I realized that my right wrist was also in pain. Now, it's just bruised. I had it checked as well. But I walked to the doctors and back just to get an opinion. So it barely cost me anything, that one. But that too was a real annoyance. Now then, having heard about everyone else having a bad time, I didn't want to make too much of a fuss about mine. I just informed people that I won't be streaming. I won't be creating content for a while, and that was 2 to 3 weeks. I didn't do basically anything. Then when I started, I was back like a week, and then I got super stressed, anxious about everything. I'm under pressure about my. I have had mental health issues, depression, and anxiety. I still have anxiety attacks, but my depression has got a lot better compared to a few years ago. Last 2 years have been easier that way. And then when I was about to get ready to go back to streaming, my cat start I was having a board game night with my D&D group. We started meeting outside D&D sessions, like the plan is once a month. And he started growling suddenly. I just thought he hurt himself or something, and I dismissed it. But then in the evening he didn't even eat. And that gluttonous bastard always eats. So I was like, okay, I'm starting to get worried. Should I call the vet? I decided, as it was late and I was super tired, I decided not to. Then the next morning, when I went to clean his litter box, there was no pee. No pee at all. Okay, so then I started calling like every vet in 50-kilometer radius. No one could make a home visit. I don't have a car, and carrying a cat who hates being outside his home multiple kilometers to a closest vet that could have time to see what's going on. I mean, that was not possible, because if he was ill, sorry, it's making me emotional just talking about this. So if he was indeed ill, making him stressed about going outside would only make it worse. So I needed a ride. So I called like 10 people until finally one member of my D&D group said he could help me take him there. And that we did. It turned out he couldn't pee, so there was something wrong with that. It had to do with his kalium values. Potassium. I think in English you call it potassium, not kalium. Kalium is the Latin word and used by basically every other language but English as the term of the substance. But yeah, his liver values were really bad. So the vet told me that there was around 50-50 odds that he would die. Not because of the operation. The catheter was fairly routine. That's not a danger at all. But when your cat's kidney values are bad, so high as my cats were, there's a risk that when you give him enough sedatives to put him to sleep for the duration of the op, there is a possibility that he might not wake up again. At least that's how I understood the vet. I mean, she's not a native Finnish speaker, so I had hard time understanding her properly. But I got uh, I think I got what she said was that the putting him to sleep medically was a danger. So those were pretty much the two longest, worst hours of my life until I got the call back from the vet, and they told me he survived, but he would need to be there for another hour. Sorry, not another hour, another day. So I was on my way to pick him up with the same friend, and they told me that he's peeing blood still. And they had to keep him there for observation and further treatment for another 8 hours. Okay, that friend of mine was no longer a possibility, so I started calling around. Another friend of mine had time, but he needed to get back to his. He had a raid night then, so he hoped he would be back home by 9. Well, he was back home 9:30. It took that long because my credit score due to being poor is so awful that the system couldn't allow me to take a bill home. So I had to organize this whole thing with my father, so the bill was taken under his name, under his credit score, which was accepted, but it took a long time to orchestrate the whole thing. So we were at the vet for an hour, and then finally I got to take the cat home. And then I noticed that he has no control on his peeing, so he was dripping the bloody piss all over the apartment. As you can see, there are towels covering the bed. Then the background, he's on the orange tower behind his scratching post. And then if we take a look, there are more towels on the sofa as well. Well, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday he finally stopped dripping the bloody pee everywhere, but the pee is still bloody. And I'm still really worried. But he's back to his happy self. He's purring and meowing as usual. And the thing that was wrong with him, it can renew, but it's fairly easy to see if it does, because you just need to feel his lower stomach, and if there's like if it feels like a balloon sort of thing, like an air balloon type of thing, then it's renewing. If not, he's fine. But for the rest of his life, I'm probably gonna try his stomach like twice a day, every morning, every evening, just to be on the safe side. He's everything I've got. Now, this might sound hollow as I don't have a child, but he is like a son to me. So, I don't know what I would do if he just died. Not to mention that hugging your pet releases endorphins, which makes depression and anxiety easier to deal with. So that has been really rough for me. So I just really hope he it won't renew, and he lives many, many years of happy cat life. If not, well, let's put it this way. I haven't really cried in. Last time I cried before the day when the cat was operated on was 2 years ago. Before that, it had been 10 years before that. So I've cried 3 times in the last 12 years. So that's how much this cat matters to me. If I was like I used to be, I would expect the worst and be really on edge all the time, but I'm trying to make changes in my life. So I'm hoping for the best, and maybe, just maybe, things will work out for another 5 to 10 years, and then the cat's probably gonna die of old age. But that's the span of cat life. The worst thing here was probably that he's not even 7 years old yet, and he's a mixed breed. So it's unlikely for mixed breed cats to develop anything that serious until they're at least 10 years of age. So that was the worst. That I was not prepared that this could happen this soon. So that made it the worst. Then there's one last thing I wanted to address. Now I try not to talk politics, but the Russian invasion of Ukraine has me scared. I used to think of Vladimir Putin as a really politically savvy, like a political animal, if you know the term. Like he had his plans had backup plans, and he played the world like it was a chessboard. That's how I thought of him. But for some reason, he's thrown caution to the wind and making waves instead of careful moves. And that makes me concerned. I mean, I live less than, I think it's around 300 kilometers from the Russian border, so I'm terrified. And this is most likely the most you ever hear me discuss it in open, because I think us who border Russia without NATO protection should keep our faces shut, unless we want to be the ones on the receiving end of the wrath of the bear. You know, bear is like Russia's. Well, you know. I'm not talking. I don't think I'm talking to people who don't know Russia's national animals and mascots and whatnot. Russia is often described as a bear, while Finland is described as a retarded lion with a sword plunged in his face. And that's how I feel like about the people who are vocally opposing the Russian invasion. Like, we are not a NATO country. European Union and United Nations are doing fuck all about this. Like, Economical sanctions. Boo hoo. Russia's main trade partners aren't European. They're China, Iran. And I don't see them cutting economic ties with Russia anytime soon. You know? So I'm just terrified that politicians here are making waves. Waves that will poke the bear and get us all eaten. Obviously the situation here isn't quite as bad as it is in Ukraine, but still. If you really want to hear me talk about politics, about joining NATO or something like that, I will fucking discuss it, but I will not say anything Russia specific. I'm not suicidal, not anymore. I'd rather be a live coward than a dead hero. Let's hope I have something more positive to say next time, and I'll see you guys either next week or the one after that. Who knows how my YouTube video making schedule is going to turn out. And I'm probably gonna stream twice more this week and then get back to my regular schedule next week. Stay safe and watch out for bears. Bye bye.